the topic of sex had come up. And I don't know if it was the anticipation of we were going out. And again, she was just looking to get her ass eaten or what. But it was kind of one of those, how kinky are you type of things. And it was like, well, what's your definition of kinky?
It's no accident that sounds like you're leveling up in a video game. 48% of 18 to 29-year-olds have an online dating profile.
Make them work for it.
45% of people say they're more frustrated with this form of dating than hopeful.
There are so many people you can connect with.
Should I swipe right?
Swipe wrong. Swipe wrong. Setting the record straight on dating apps. Everyday people telling everyday stories of the swipe right world with your host, Chaos.
Well, I know he had a good time.
Welcome back to the show that is number one in prisons across America. I don't know if that's true. I just absolutely made that up, but it should be true. I'm sure it's true somewhere. I'm sure there's a stat that says the Swipe Wrong podcast is the number one podcast in prisons across the world, or America, or in Toledo. I don't know. It should be in one of them anyway. I'm Chaos. I'm the one that's bringing you all the stories so you hear them and you realize you're not the one only who is getting all the crazies, because there's enough crazy for all of us to go around. But also don't forget, there's a lot of great stories going out there too. There's a lot of success stories. There's some of those mixed in here as well. So hopefully, as we're going through everything, you're finding all this just incredibly interesting, and you're like, damn, that was me once, or that could have been me once, or I have a story similar to that. And if you do, just like we say all the time, reach out to us at swipewrongpod@gmail.com or 317-426-6616. This one I'm looking forward to as well. This one, we talk a lot. This is a little brother pretty much of mine. Sometimes families not by blood. We all know this. Sometimes it's just people who become close over the years. And he is definitely my little brother. And we've done podcasts together. We used to do a show called Two Guys, a Mic, and Sports. We also did one called Sports Our Way. His story is great. He is fairly new to the swipe world, and he has had some pretty interesting encounters. It's been pretty cool. And as he goes through them, I've been single for quite a while, so I talk about support system a lot. So he is my support system. I am his support system. We have each other to kind of help navigate some of this, like, what do you think she means by this? What should I do here? Where do I go? Or just whatever, because like sometimes you just text message. Let's be honest. When you communicate through text and when you communicate through the apps, it's just a form of text message. Most of the time it is, inflection can be misrepresented or misunderstood. A joke, sarcasm doesn't come through right. And in a lot of cases, we are in a fast food dating world. That's what the swipe world is. It's fast food dating, and everybody seems to have a roster. Like it's 10 to 20 deep, it seems like. So you need your buddy system. He's my buddy. I'm his buddy. Thunder buddy, whatever you want to call it. So it was a great talk. It was a good time. And, there's some interesting stories. So grab your popcorn, sit back, put your feet up, relax, enjoy. If you're in traffic, please do not hit the person next to you, and enjoy. I think we called it not on the menu. Its ass is not on the menu. And one more word, of course, from the quote unquote legal department.
Disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions or any entities they represent. This podcast is about dating experiences. It is not to say one dating app is better or worse than another.
All right, so this whole pod, like the whole show that we're doing is really about, the swipe right stories that some have gone right. Most go wrong that lead to right. But I think this will end up being about let's say 9 to 11 episodes. And I think it's going to be about 7 of them will be from the female perspective, because that's really like you and I have found out just by, we think we're nice guys, but so I don't want to pat myself on the back too quick. We've heard some of the train wreck stories when we've been out on some of these dates. So this one, I'm like, well, I got to get some of the male perspective too.
Oh, there are definitely swipe wrongs for dudes, no doubt. But I would agree women have the better stories.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So tell me, so how did you end up there?
Oh, after I split with my ex, there was kind of a downtime of nothingness. And one thing led to another, and I had to fill some empty space. Because, when you're 50-50 split with kids and you've got a lot of free downtime all of a sudden, and you don't know what to do with your hands, to quote an excellent Talladega movie.
Yeah, right.
In therapy, it was brought up, like, have I thought about dating? And of course, when you're newly single after a long relationship, I think that goes through anyone's head. Well, what's that going to be like? And, being 40 years old, what is the environment? What's the landscape? Plus we're post-COVID. So that scene has kind of changed anyway. And like, I didn't know where to hang out. Like, where does a single 40-year-old dude go to meet people his age? Because like the bar scene's typically younger people, this, that, and the other. And my therapist was like, "Oh, you got to try these." He had turned me on to Bumble, and the first site that I'd signed up for was Facebook dating, if you even count it that. And that's because on Facebook it's just in your face, and it's like right there, and it's like, hey, just push this button, and then like your profile slides over, and then there you go. Bumble and Tinder were the two that I settled on. One, they're both free, even though I did pay to commit myself to giving it a real shake, both sites for a little bit, not a lot, but a little, just because I wanted to see, like, what is this? And like these algorithms on these websites, I'm not familiar with them. With Bumble, I've had a lot more, I guess, success, if you'd call it success, in interacting and actually meeting people. But how it all got started was I wanted to meet people and just vibe with people and interact.
Right.
Which after a 10-year marriage, having kids, you don't get a lot of social time as an adult. And at work, the people that I socialize with at work, I don't socialize with outside of work, because they're just not my type of people. They're great people, don't get me wrong, but it's the things that I do and want to do don't really fit well with the environment and the people that I work with, and my workplace is predominantly women and all this other stuff. So Bumble and Tinder for the win, I guess. The first few people I talked to, it was really just really poor small talk. It was almost one of those how's the weather situations. It's like, hey, how are you? I'm good. How are you? I'm good. How was your I was okay. How was your weekend? Oh, this, that, and the other. Oh, that sounds great. ... Where are we going? So, it took me a minute before I met anybody. And like, I had a couple one night stands where the chick that I met clearly was just out to get it. And so I've had a few of those experiences, which they're not necessarily uncomfortable, but they're almost off-putting. You're like, wait, really? This is it? This is what you want to do?
Yeah.
And then I've also been rejected because like I'm not kinky enough. I had this one chick that wanted to get together, and she asked me if I'd eat her ass, and I said no, thank you. And she's like, "Oh, that's a really big bummer." And I was like, "No, so I'm just not eating ass. It's cool if you're into it. I'm just not." And like, I never heard from her again. I was like, "Oh, okay."
Hold up. All right. So hold up. All right. I gotta hear, because like, so you and we're brothers. We're definitely brothers. So like, there's some stories I've heard, and I know, like, as we're talking about this, like, as we get into some other stories, like I will be like, oh yeah, I remember this one, and you'll tell the whole story. This one I don't think I've heard. This one's
I don't know if I
new
shared
to
this
me.
one. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I don't know that much of a story, for the record.
Okay, but all right. So all right, actually, I need to walk back a couple of things. One, the one night stands. All right, so it's kind of interesting, and you're gonna have to either tell me if I'm right or wrong on this. My feeling. Like, in life, over our time as guys who have gone out to bars and had, we're not ugly, so we've had our share of dates, I guess. And you picked up a girl and you've had a one night stand at a bar. but like it feels different when you communicate for a little while, whether it be, you know, over Bumble, over Tinder, and you're talking for a couple days or whatever, you meet up for a date and then you just go to have sex. Like, to me, like, I almost felt like I had to give myself permission for that to be okay.
Yeah, you know, I think you bring up an interesting point because it's not really like you're two horny people who are maybe having one too many and tipsy and, you know, make a right wrong decision at a bar. This is a scenario where we've matched because, and like one of my favorite things in talking to women is when we talk about the dates, because I think most of us who have partaken in the swipes, those first interactions or second dates, if you have more than one, like the shitty stories, they always come up. You know, what's the worst date you've been on? What's your worst date? And then people compare and we swap hilarious stories and we giggle. And like it helps eat up time. It helps.
It's a tie that binds.
Totally. So I think when those come up, I always like to talk about, well, you know, the whole way this thing works is you see somebody that you'd fuck and then you match with them. Like that's how it all starts. And I like to say it like that for a couple reasons. Because one, you know I'm right. Like you don't swipe on people you're not attracted to. And I know that there's content that comes with these profiles. So I'm not trying to suggest that it's pictures or bust. Although with a lot of Tinder profiles, that's what people do. There's still pictures up there and it's like, fuck me. But I think people are, you know, lying to themselves if they don't get that part of it. And I like to lead with that when people start sharing stories about Tinder. It's like, yeah, well, you swipe people you'd want to fuck. And then you read their profile and you're like, yeah, they seem cool too. So that's like a double win. Mm-hmm. Like, if I want to have sex with you because I think you're attractive and you seem cool based on whatever personality traits I can pull from your, you know, 25 minutes of invested time building this profile. So you go on those first dates and like, that's an easy icebreaker. It's like, well, you know, we clearly both are attracted to each other. So let's see if anything else goes with it.
Right. And like, I guess that's the part, or not that, but the part of like, all right, so you match, you talk, and sometimes it takes a day or two of talking before you figure out you're going on a date.
Totally. Well, and I guess to go back to what the original topic was, like, those aren't the one night stands, you know. And like you said, giving yourself permission, I agree. Like, because you do have some content to go with this face, right? Like you've seen a face, you've had some conversations, so you meet, and if the vibe is right, and I know you and I are both big on vibe. But if the vibe is right, you typically know where the evening's going.
Right.
If you're not sure, I think that's when it's like you give an awkward side hug or maybe a kiss. And I'm not big on the kiss on the first date. Like if you want to kiss me on the first date, I'm not going to say no, but like I won't instigate that. Just right. It's a respect thing for me. And the irony, of course, being that we're talking about a one night stand, but
you're the guy that doesn't kiss on the first date. I understand. I see the.
Well, it's funny, right? Because like I've never been to a woman's house. I've always hosted, and I don't.
But not because you won't.
Oh, totally. And I don't know if it's been because of the convenience of, well, I have an empty house and we're this far away. I don't know if that's because the other person, like, you know, a female's got pets or whatever. Like I have a cat. So I always say, like, are you allergic to cats? If you are, this is probably a bad idea. But, you know, if they have dogs or maybe their kids are home, but they have a sitter, because, you know, you go on dates with people who have kids and it's like, oh, I had to get a sitter for this. So then obviously that's a totally different thing. And it hasn't just been for sex. Like I've had multiple women that have come over just for extra cocktails because the bar closed early because we were out on a weeknight. Right. And you can have an exchange. I had a really awful experience with that once where a chick got bananas on me. After we left the bar, and it was like things were going semi nice. It was like, oh, this could be all right. Then we got to my house and fucking hard right. It was like, whoa, about some dude she was still in love with, wouldn't tell me his name, pussy on a pedestal. It was nuts.
All right, so let's go to you now. Go out with this one girl, or you're set up to hang out with her. I don't even know. Did you meet her for drinks, or and then go back to your house, or meet for drinks, and then she asks you to eat her ass, and then you're just like, oh no, I had burritos for lunch, and not looking for ass for dinner. How did that sort itself out?
No, so we matched, and I don't remember if it was Tinder or if it was Bumble. I think it was Bumble. We matched, and it was a really comfortable back and forth, like flirtatious, both kind of throwing some jabs in, very lighthearted, fun. she had a real weird schedule. She managed a restaurant. So we talked for like a week before we were supposed to meet. And then she got COVID. So then we didn't meet. So we had to wait for COVID to be over. So then she was recovering from COVID a couple weeks later, and we'd still talked a little bit back and forth. But, the topic of sex had come up. And I don't know if it was the anticipation of we were going out. And again, she was just looking to get her ass eaten or what. But it was kind of one of those, how kinky are you type of things. And it was like, well, what's your definition of kinky? And when eating ass came up, and I was like, no, thanks. That literally ended it. Like, she turned it off. Like, I didn't hear from her again.
Like, she responded, though. Did she respond,
yeah.
That's too bad or something? Or she just...
that's a bummer or something like that. Like, literally, that was her response. Like, oh, really? That's a bummer. It's like, yeah, I'm just not really into it. I'll fuck you in the ass, but I'm not going to eat it.
And then ghosted.
And then that was it.
Ghosted. Oh.
It was nuts. Yeah, totally nuts. And whatever. If somebody's just looking to get their ass eaten, whatever. So I'm not your guy. Sorry. But.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's true. Props. Like, all right, this is what she's looking for. Like, many times I've used the expression that this type of dating is fast food dating. And she was looking for something on the menu with you that she didn't get. So she's going to go like, hey, let me check the menu over here at this fast food place.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great analogy to it. And I think I've had a few experiences where I've been rejected and it's been ghosted. And I've had a few experiences where I've been rejected and it's been very respectable. Like, I think I've just matched with somebody else, or I think I've had a better connection with somebody else, or, whatever. I was like, all right, cool. No big deal. Thank you for giving me the heads up that this ain't going nowhere. And I don't want to waste your time, and good luck. But again, like I was saying earlier, I thought at this age that would be the norm. And that's definitely not the norm. I think you get more I can't tell you how many times I've read on profiles like, I'm good at Irish goodbyes. It's like, fuck, y'all are cold-hearted. I had to Google what that was. I didn't even know what a fucking Irish goodbye was.
Well, all right. I'm sure a lot of people listening have no idea. So what's an Irish goodbye? They're Googling right now. Save them to Google.
Yeah, I got to go to the bathroom, and then they ditch.
Oh, really? Oh, no kidding.
They just don't come back. That's fucking cold-blooded. So that was my rejection because I don't eat ass. So for all those ladies out there who are maybe curious about going on a date with me, just know I'm not getting in there.
Yeah. Hey, like, again, like we said, props to her. She knew what she wanted. She knew she wasn't going to get it from you. She didn't waste your time and she didn't waste her time. So that's props. Total props. Thank you for being along for the ride on the Swipe Wrong podcast, where we take everyday people like you and me telling their everyday stories of their swipe right life. Show is produced by Jay Pelham. He is the host of Pelham Place. If you want to reach out to the show and tell us your story, we'd love to hear it. Give us a call. Google Voice us at 317-426-6616. Leave your information and we'll get back to you, or just your story. You can also email us at swipewrongpod@gmail.com. We are on Insta, Facebook, TikTok. We're out there. I am Chaos, the host of Chaotic Commentary. You can find me pretty much anywhere that you see me. And next week, the saga continues.
Swipe wrong. Swipe wrong.